Hello, welcome to your local news network. Today we have a special guest, Ms. Betty Friedan, author of The Feministic and one of the main founders of National Organization for Women. It's good to have you, Betty.
It's an honor to be here.
So let's get right along. I think we all have our own ideas of feminism, but what is feminism to you as one of its most important advocates?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't say I'm one of the most important than any of the other women involved in the movement. All of us are equally important pieces in the machine, and as fellow women, we are sisters and must stick together. However, to answer your original question, the dictionary definition states that it's the theory of the political, economic, and the social equality of the sexes. But to me, it's so much more than that. Women collectively want to be reorganized as a citizen and a person, not just a woman.
What do you think are the greatest struggles that women face?
Well, in a mostly male-dominated society, women face a variety of struggles. Like for instance, during World War II, women really took an active role in the workforce. They worked jobs in factories and farms and really contributed to the war effort. Over 3 million were working for the Red Cross at this time, and at least 200,000 women were serving in the military. However, when the war ended and the men came back home, the women were laid off and they were forced back into the position of a housewife. It seems to me like the government was saying, "You did a fine job, girls, but now the men are back, so you can go back to doing what you were meant to do," which comes across as very condescending.
Never thought of it in that way.
Yes, it's quite unfair, isn't it? We women are very limited in the job industry. You could either be a teacher, a nurse, or a secretary, and of course, eventually a mother.
I'm assuming women aren't very welcome in the professional workplace.
You'd be right about that. In fact, we aren't even welcome in professional programs. I don't want to name names, but one medical school said, and I quote, "Hell yes, we have a quota. We do keep women out when we can. We don't want them here, and they don't want them elsewhere either, whether or not they'll admit it."
Oh my!
I know. Yes, I couldn't believe it myself. And due to this ignorant thinking as of today, women are accounted for 6% of doctors, 3% of lawyers, and less than 1% of engineers.
Wow, I never heard of those factoids before.
You wouldn't, would you? And on top of this, working women have to deal with constant sexual harassment in the workplace, and we can do nothing about it.
Can't you complain to your boss about it?
I'm afraid not, as most of the time it can be the boss who is the one doing the harassment.
What about the wage gap between sexes? I know that's a controversial topic. Many argue over it, if it even exists anymore due to the act that was recently passed.
Oh, it definitely exists. It is the men that benefit from the inequality that argue that it does not.
What were the stats for the wage gap before passing the act?
Well, in 1960, the average woman earned 60% of every dollar a man made. So if a woman made $16,144 in a year, a man with the same job would have earned $26,608, accumulating to over a $10,000 difference in salaries.
I can't even imagine what I'd do with that extra $10,000. That makes such a difference in my life.
Exactly. Women are getting robbed simply because they're born as women.
Did the law pass help at all? The numbers don't seem like something that would change overnight.
The Equal Pay Act was a great feat for the protesters for gender equality. But, unfortunately, the effects of the act have barely been felt. In 1965, 2 years after it was enacted, the wage gap only decreased by 0.1%.
That's just insane. How is this able to keep on happening?
It's a giant circle of power. Men have the power and thus control over money. They see us as inferior on all terms, and so we don't deserve to be paid as much. This keeps us in our place by not allowing us to raise to a power position and become better than the men, which is not our intention when we ask for equal pay. It should be pretty self-explanatory. We don't want to be better than men. We want to be treated the same as them.
Do you believe the circle will ever be intercepted?
Well, yes, and I hope it is soon enough that I'm alive to witness it.
I hope you are too. So far, you've been able to accomplish so many other milestones for gender equality. Could you share them with us? I hear people call you a force for change.
Well, I co-founded the National Organization for Women in 1966, subsequently serving as its first president also.
Can you tell us a little bit more about this National Organization for Women?
Well, I remember it was June of 1966. I attended a conference in Washington. The theme was Targets for Action. I had attended only to write and observe. I watched as Graham and Hernandez fought on behalf of women in the way civil rights groups had done for blacks. I was motivated to stand up too. Shortly after the conference, myself and a few others met to discuss strategies. I remember we were all in my hotel room that night trying to think of possibilities. The women were angry and they wanted change to happen. With time running out, a final meeting was planned for the new organization.
Now I have here a written note from Anaslika. 28 women met to set up a temporary organization for this purpose, to take action to bring women into full participation in the mainstream of America society now, assuming all the privileges and responsibilities thereof in truly equal partnership with men.
But of course, we're the grassroots arm of the women's movement. NOW's goal has been to take action to bring about equality for all women. Both the actions NOW takes and its position on the issues are principled, uncompromising, and often ahead of their time. NOW is a leader, not a follower of public opinion.
What kind of events did you organize?
We organized mass marches, rallies, pickets, nonviolent civil disobedience, and immediate, responsive ZAP actions. We reinstituted mass marches for women's rights in the face of conventional wisdom that marches went out with the 1960s. One march that we organized in support of the Equal Rights Amendment drew over 100,000 people to D.C. in 1978. Wow, it only feels like yesterday.
I bet it does. Any other memorable marches?
Our March for Women's Lives drew more than 500,000 supporters to D.C. in 1989 and 750,000 in 1992, and it was the largest women's rights demonstration ever.
Is that Friday, Ms. Friedan?
Of course, I cannot be more proud of this organization and how far it has come.
Sounds amazing. Now, according to what I've heard, you also helped initiate the National Women's Political Caucus.
Ah, yes. My friends, most importantly Gloria Steinem and Bella Abzug, felt that there needed to be more women voices in the government. We sought to identify, recruit, train, endorse, and support women who were seeking public office.
What were some of the things you did?
Well, in order to help women candidates run successfully, the NWPC held workshops that offer information about fundraising, developing a platform, motivating volunteers, and obtaining media coverage. We helped review the qualifications of hundreds of women and helped submit the selected.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It certainly was, but to have the bar raised for women to be one day equal to men, it's worth it in the end.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have today. Thank you for tuning in to your local news network, and be sure to tune in tomorrow for more political dilemmas.